start with the tartare, the chicken liver, and the fajas. And you mentioned sharing the Jerusalem artichoke soup too. It's a little bit spicy. I'm worried it's gonna ruin your palate for you. So I think as a mid-course, I'm just gonna bring the raw artichokes. You and him are each gonna have your own brick chicken as an entree, and you're gonna try our salmon. We're gonna cook that medium tonight. Is that okay? For you, I've got a hot mint tea coming. Tell me, do you take honey? Okay. Vodka soda lime for you. Can we do Tito's? Yeah. Great. And you, I'm going to bring a taste of our albarino. Sounds very good. I am really good at this. And I love doing it. And that makes me the very best person to talk to you all about it. So much of life is about in which section you get sat. So tonight I'm working section 3, which means I am the center of the restaurant. I have tables 9 all the way through here till table 17. And it's a big section, as you can see, but I work it every Saturday night, and I can totally handle it. It's a little bit hairy when it's triple sat, but must be how I like it, right? Keeps me on my toes here, taste that. It's sort of like I turn these tables all night, but I'm the thing that remains constant, right? So the better I know myself, the better the night goes. So much of life is about in which section you get sat. I was born into a family where my father was handicapped.
He has cerebral palsy. He's a producer. He's a writer. He's written for Johnny Carson, for Joan Rivers, for Sonny and Cher, Dean Martin. He's produced and directed the Stockford Channing Show, Welcome Back, Kotter. He's in New York producing and writing a police show on the streets of New York, a half-hour police show. Who is it? We'll find out in a second. He is really one of the most difficult people I've ever met. And when he came into the studio, they tried to put him in the audience. He said, no, I'm on the show. And here he is. He is on the show. It's Nick Arnold.
Cerebral palsy. To me, it was just that my dad walked weird and talked kind of funny. I don't really know much more about it. I wish I could tell you more about it. No one talked to me about it when I was a kid. And I'm the youngest. I've got 2 brothers who are older than me. And being the youngest, you know how that can be, right? We sort of, we get it kind of the easiest. And my dad wasn't sick, right? It wasn't a disease. He wasn't going to die from it. It's just a birth defect. But life is hard on the spirit, isn't it? Right? For everyone. But probably especially when your body doesn't respond as fast as your brain does. I don't know. I imagine that a lifetime of that might be tough. So being the youngest, I don't think I got my dad at his best. I think I got my father at his weakest. And for some reason, I was never able to just get comfortable around him. His body terrified me. His physicality really scared me as a kid. It just did. And I tried to keep that deep in. And so that's when I started to look at everything from the outside in, like what my experience was, but then also how others would see it. You know, I still do that. Other people could look and see that my father had a handicap, and I just didn't know how to handle that. But I don't know why. My father was so good with it. And then we grow up, right? And then we think like, what did our parents do to fuck us up? I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know what my problem was. It was totally fine for my 2 older brothers. My dad was at all their soccer games, their parent-teacher conferences. He was on the sidelines, graduations, but none of mine. Do you know why? Because I would call him and tell him not to come. Can you believe that? Do you know that I don't have a single friend who's ever met my dad? And so we grow up and we think our parents fuck us up, but not me. Do you want to know what I think about? I think about, what was that like for him? What was unlike for my dad to have to accept that type of rejection from his kid. I don't know what my problem was. I was just different than my brothers, maybe because they were boys, but from the jump, from birth, I always just saw my father as other. And I know that that's normal, because he was different. And I tried really hard not to blame myself, because I was just a kid. But how did I know that? How was I that sensitive? When did I first see that my father was in so much more need than me? When did I see that? How did I know to think of him as anything else but my dad? So my mom came over, because I was getting us some weed delivered, but also by coincidence it just happened to be Christmas. We were two Jews in Brooklyn, we didn't even realize it. And I don't know what got into me. I think I was feeling a little nostalgic, and I said, you know, Mom, do you remember that Christmas that you and Dad got me a color blaster? Oh my God, it's the biggest gift that I ever got to this day. I remember waking up on Christmas morning and seeing it wrapped under the tree and that feeling of just like knowing it's for me. No? That doesn't ring a bell? That is the thing about memories. They're yours. No one else chooses to know the same moments that you've come to know so well. And I said, Mom, you know, I think you did pretty good. Like, you had great kids, and you were actually in love. Oh, yeah, I was. I mean, what was it like being married to Dad like that? How did you do it with, oh, Diana, I didn't see him like that. He just made me laugh and laugh and laugh. Really? I don't remember that. Mom, is there something wrong with me? I don't think I even want to get married. Like, scares me. She interrupts, Diana, you must. Your father is the best thing that ever happened to me. What about me? I mean, what was I like as a kid? Well, you didn't need much. Really? I felt like I did. Maybe because of Dad, I felt like I kind of had to take more care of myself. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. You know, you never really connected to him. Like, you did what you knew a daughter should do, but inside I could tell, Diana, you were scared of him too. You knew? Oh, yeah, you would come up to me, and sometimes you would grab me by my knees and say, Mommy, don't die. Please don't ever go, because if you do, Dad won't be able to take care of us like you do. I don't remember doing that. Why didn't you guys help? Why didn't, when you two first noticed my detachment, why didn't you try to talk to me or pay a little bit more attention to it? You seem fine, she says. You knew how to be with us, Diana. You were hamming it up with us in the living room. You were part of the family, but you were also not part of it all at the same time. And it hits me. Christmas morning, I split myself in everything. It hits me. This is why I like to control things. This is why I like to be working. It hits me. My remorse serves me. It hits me. This is why I am so good at my job. I can be ever present on a dining room floor and also not even really be there at all. My history is what makes me so well suited to waitressing, because I can be part of and I can be not part of a thing. That's my thing. That's my thing! I am at your table, but I am not at your table. No, not at all. I know my role. There is a duality to this, and I get that because there's been a schism in me since my infancy. But you know what? I made a career of it, actually. So this is what good service is to me, okay? I know what you need before you know that you need it. And I've thought a lot about that, so I'm going to repeat it. I know what you need before you know that you need it. And I've had my own life experiences, right? So I never upsell, I don't push anything. My presence just influences it. And I get it. My God, I get why I'm good at it. And I tell you what, an eighth of weed later, I am not even mad about it. You know, I take care of my table so well. And yet I never felt taken care of by anyone really, besides myself. And you know, I'm not mad. It makes total sense. And so, in the last 2 years, there's been a real shift. I am better at my job than I have ever been. And my work, it feels different. It's almost like what I do has become more important. Let's start. So, I have worked at every restaurant in New York. No, really, I have. If you have been out to dinner anywhere in the last 10 years between Brooklyn and the Upper West Side, it is very possible that we've met before tableside. Alice's Teacup. I was 17, like out of a dream, was my very first job, and that's where I learned everything. The Mermaid Inn. At 21, I remember the very first time I ever saw a server special a table and open a wine bottle at the same time and being like, oh my God, that looks so hard. Then Momofuku Sambar. Fuck, I felt so cool working there. And I was in love with the tortured bartender. Dirt Candy. I worked there for 5 years. Surprisingly, this huge part of me. You know, I was selling dehydrated kale water, but being treated like a rock star. Gramercy Tavern, fine, but I needed more. Cook Shop, a fantastic restaurant, but it's on 10th Avenue, way too far of a walk. Mission Chinese Food, I was just there for the food, and the dudes. Cook Shop, oh, and Bonita, that's the best job I ever had. Not the best boss, but goddamn, it was the best staff. Uncle Booms, Number 7, Tarlo, Chang, Williams, and then all the other places I trained only for 1 day, and then all the other ones that have come and gone that right now I can't even remember, like fucking Brucey or Dover. Those 2 jobs next to Lilia, those are the 3 worst serving jobs I have had ever. So tell me, have you and I ever had dinner together? I told you before, I have been your waitress before. And sometimes, I'll be like out to dinner, okay? I'll be out with some friends, more than halfway done with my chicken, and then all of a sudden, I used to work here. I call this PTRD, post-traumatic restaurant disorder. This is when a server gets triggered, okay? I look down at my plate, and like a grenade in my brain, I'll see like the restaurant's dish pit, and I'll know like exactly where my plate's gonna get washed when I'm done with it. And I'll look over there, and I'll see a cupboard, and I'll be like, oh God, that's where they keep the straws, the sea folds, and the toilet paper. And then a manager will walk by, and I'll just intrinsically know her name is Joanna, and then stop, my floodgates are open. How many BOSs have there been? How many wine lists have I learned? How many uniforms? How many cubbyholes have I changed in? How many subway stops? How many schedule requests? How many vacations? How many different neighborhoods? How many different allergy lists and tasting and ingredients? How many different table numbers and positions? So many of them, I don't even remember till I'm halfway done with my chicken. So I get it. You know, I've had to clear my own table for years. Wipe, and then reset it. I've had to mop the floors. I've had screaming fights with insane coworkers. I've been asked to get on my hands and knees and look for a credit card in a trash can by uptown customers. And I did. I've been accused of stealing on my very first night by the boss's wife after a shift. Kate, she's such a bitch. I've spilled octopus juice in my shoes and been too scared to tell anyone, just had to slowly work my way through it. I've had to wash all the dishes, and I've been touched without my consent in a walk-in. And I've had to keep my hair up, my nails clean, and my head down while I did it. So, you know, I get it. And it's just luck that I've gotten to work at these great restaurants. I mean, I don't seek them out, I don't research them. I literally roll up a J, go on Craigslist, and get really lucky. But now I somehow have this monopoly on these like really small, niche, but fantastic restaurants that are also chef and owner run. Which is just to say that more than that I've served, I have also worked for everyone. And you know, I paid attention when I was working with these chefs. And I took something different from each of them, that now my own personal style of service is just a mosaic of all of them. As far as I'm concerned, I really should be on the clock as soon as I start my walk to work. Because I start to do my work, you know? That's when I tie up my loose ends. That's when I have a last phone conversation with a really good friend. It usually goes like, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to go to work, don't make me, okay, bye. You know, I attend to all the stuff I can't really attend to when I'm attending to my guests. And you know, I really do love that moment before, you know, where you kind of have to leave your shit at the door and really prepare to live on the dining room floor. And you're not going to believe this. You guys, I still get nervous before every shift. But why? I can do this job blindfolded with my hands tied. I have literally always been a waitress since the second day I arrived in New York City. Okay, I was 17, and I only had $300 in my pocket. I can't even believe it either. And I landed, I went to orientation in college, and then I took the A train straight uptown, and I went to visit Lauren Fox, the only person that I knew in town. And she's a little bit older than me, and she bought this little tea house. And I remember, I got off on the subway stop 72nd in Columbus. That's 1 block from where we are tonight. And I got past a building I would later learn is called the Dakotas. And I crossed the street and I saw Alice's teacup. And I walked right down the stairs and I swear it smelled like hormones and pumpkin scones. And it was magic in there. And it was a Sunday. And it started to get a little bit busy. And then my friend says to me, she says, jump in. And I remember my very first walk from in front of the counter to behind it. Jump in! And I did. And I did. Oh my God, those shifts at Alice's are what made me. Those doubles for decades. Do you know I worked brunch on the weekends for 4 years straight in college? That's age 17 to 21. So what that really means is that I never once went out on the weekends. And fuck NYU Tish, Alice's Teacup was my education. And that place is where I met so many of my best friends. And nothing has really changed since then. I still don't go out on the weekends. Now I just start work at 5 p.m. And all of those people are still my best friends. Because there is no bond like the bond of restaurant work. And so, I was hired as a host. And I would sort of just like wear polka dot tights and just like pour water over tea and just talk to the guests, like that was it. And I think that's how I got so good at it. It was so funny. You never know when you're learning your gifts. Are you ready? I'm about to tell you about the moment that I became a waitress. So, I was working at Alice's and I had a best friend who worked there with me. He was this beautiful, fantastic, wild man named Dante. And we were so close, like family. And he was late one day. Listen, if you don't take anything else with you tonight, don't be late. Because so much of life is right time, right place, right? And the manager just wasn't having it that day. And he goes, Diana, yeah? Come here, I'm going to show you how to set the dining room. And then all of a sudden, he hands me this big plastic silverware container. And I only remember because it was full of silver and so heavy that I almost dropped it. You know, my first thought as a waitress was, this job is too much for one person. Wipe the tables down, fork, plate, knife, napkin, teacup, done. Got it, sunshine? That's the only training I got. And so I'm starting to set the tables up. You know, it's still kind of my favorite part. I love the calm of a restaurant before the storm. You know, where it's just kind of you, maybe the sound of your shoes, and then maybe the remnants of some Spanish music from behind the kitchen door. And I'm starting to feel like pretty good about myself. Like, most of the dining room is almost set. And then, as if I'd forgotten, my best friend walks in, whose shift I had just been given. And he looks at me. And I'm looking at him, and he doesn't say anything. His face says it for him. And then he walks out. And we never spoke again. That was my introduction. I cannot tell you how many tears I have shed in a walk-in. How many moments I've had to take in an open kitchen next to a flame. How many insults I've ingested next to a trash can. How many infuriated cigarette breaks I've had to take in a disgusting, cold alleyway. Do you know that one time it got so bad, I got electrocuted when I was working? Yeah. Okay, this new chef was being such a bitch to me. I don't know, it was raining and it was hot, something. My arms started electrocuting, and I had to keep working. People just kept ordering. I remember I was holding a water metal pitcher. It was tingling through, and I had to keep pouring. Do you know that my arm still tingles each time I walk down East 9th Street? It's between first and second. So, listen, this is my question. If the thing in my life that I have been the longest is a waitress, why now am I just beginning to experience the joy of it? Because there has always been joy. I'm now just able to be aware of it. I am born to do this, okay? Not just waitress, because now it's even evolved into something more. In the West Village of New York City at Via Carota, I work the door. Hi, Barbara, right? Nice to see you. Come on in. How many tonight? 3? You're smart to come early. This can be really tricky. Let me look and see. Yes, sir. We're going to be 4. That's fantastic. I'm just finishing with a guest. Barbara, I think for 3 tonight, it's going to be like 20, 25 bathroom. It says street on the hall, 3rd door on the left. And that is it. We are off. It is a balancing act from here on out. Sir, I think for 4 it's going to be an hour. Is that okay? Great. Let me take your name. I greet 300 strangers a night, 5 nights a week. Could I be any more lucky? Hey, how are you? How's the wife? How's the baby? No, I couldn't be. Baby's great, mom's on the way. That's fantastic. I see a table outside, so feel free. I literally fit into this job so perfectly. I've got a great memory and a ton of empathy. And I stand at an open door facing New York City, and I have no idea what's coming for me. Oh, it's thrilling. It's also comforting. That's how a lot of my life has felt for me. And I make sure to always work somewhere busy because I know myself enough to know that I am healthier when I keep my own focus off of me. No, I'm sorry, sir. I already told you once we can't see it in complete parties. Being in service is finally starting to make sense to me. And call me superstitious if you want, but like the first table of the night is the hardest, right? Oh my God, it is. And you like know it too as you're going over there. You're just like, oh, it's gonna be rough. And then with me, I notice there's like this little jealous part of me that comes out just for a second with every new customer. I'll just for a second be like, fuck, I wish I was out to dinner. I didn't go out to eat much when I was a kid. There was one place though, right? There always is, I'm convinced. No matter how shitty growing up is, there is some place for everyone, right? There's somewhere where you went with your mom once. Or maybe a breadstick that changed your 3-year-old life. Or maybe there was a diner on the side of the road where you never went, but you know that your dad used to go. Or maybe a waitress winked at you online in the bathroom when you were 12. Or maybe it's the way that your grandmother's kitchen smells. There is a dish somewhere, I promise. Or a taste, or a flavor, or a texture, or even a waiter that can reminds us of this, this completely intangible sense of comfort, right, of love. And I think we eat out in this city every night to get a little bit of that back, for like an hour and a half. And if you sit in my section, I know that. What happens after that is completely up to us. You might think it's too expensive here or just not care for me very much, or more often than not, you'll ask me to turn the music down and can you turn that air conditioner off? And then it'll all completely fall apart. But if you sit in my section, you get me. And that's a pretty good place to start. Welcome! From the jump, be intelligent. Gain their trust tonight, be eloquent. Hi! We've got a few specials tonight. First, it's crispy shrimp. It's coming from the Carolinas, flash fried, a little bit of parsley, a little bit of lemon. I've got 2 vegetables tonight for the table. Artichokes or broccoli rabe, it's your choice. And then our pasta tonight is stracci. This means rag in Italian. Really classic, flat, almost like a flag. We're gonna put fresh Vermont butter and shaved black truffles on top of it. Classic. Now we come to our signature dish. So every night since we opened here, we'll prepare a whole fish. Tonight's a bronzino. We're gonna fillet that for you, roast it. It'll come finished with brown butter. And I have to say, if you happen to be in the mood for fish tonight, there's really nothing better. Let me know if you have any questions. Did I get them? Welcome! We've got a few specials for you tonight. Do it again. Crispy shrimp, flash fried, but make it different. From the Carolinas tonight, we're gonna finish it with some lemon. I have some vegetables, broccoli rabe or artichoke tonight, totally your choice. And then our pasta tonight is stracci. So in Italian, this means rag. Think a pasta that's thin, think broad, think flat. We're gonna shade black truffle, just Vermont butter on top of it, right? Delicious. We're also offering tonight our signature dish. So every night since we opened here, we prepare whole fish. Tonight's bronzino. We'll fillet it for you. We'll finish it with brown butter and lemon. And I have to tell you, if you're in the mood for fish tonight, there's really nothing better. I special every table like it's my first time. Welcome! We've got a few specials for you tonight. I won't do it again. But, they feel like it's original, and I mean it is, and it isn't. Y'all have seen me special every table around them. It's so obvious. And that is what I love most about being a waitress. It's obvious. It's the first thing I get to do without having to be shy or try to hide it. Waiting tables is the very first thing that I can do in my life to my fullest. And I love that they're called specials. Because what I really want to say is, we've got a few specials for tonight. You should get all of them really, but also one of them is me. The only restaurant that I do remember going to as a kid is Twin Dragon. Chinese. I would go sometimes with my family on Sundays. And I remember the sign. This is in LA, south side of Pico Boulevard, this big red rectangle, and then these 2 like golden horns. And I remember there was a parking lot out front. And my mom would park, and then I would like jump out of the car first. And I would run immediately towards these 2 huge carved wooden doors. And I'd open them, and I would let my dad walk in. And I would just kind of stand underneath this little host stand. And I remember that the man who greeted us in a white shirt and a black tux, he knew my dad instantly when we walked in. I mean, he knew his name. He gave him a handshake, sometimes a hug even. The man who worked there made us feel immediately welcome. He made me feel familiar. My father was a regular. And so they'd walk us to our corner booth, because my dad wasn't comfortable in chairs. And I'd sit here, and my dad would sit here. And I remember there was, of course, a fish tank in the restaurant. A huge aquarium, split the room behind him. And I only remember because the blue neon light from the fish would always hit the back of my dad's black hair to make it kind of blue a little bit. And then behind the fish was the bar. And I feel like as a kid, if everything is going pretty good, the bar isn't something you ever get to know. Like, you should really see it up close. And I didn't. And to this day, I'll go behind a bar and it won't make any sense. I just want to add that my dad liked to drink. And I only think this is important to be noted because a lot of people ask me, T, why didn't you ever be a bartender, work behind a bar? And I don't really like to be around people who are drunk. When you're behind the stick, you're stuck, right? But if I can give it context as a waitress, oh, that's just the guy at table 12 who likes his martinis wet. Well, then I'm way better with it. And you're not a drunk anymore, like my dad. Instead, you're a regular. And regulars are amazing, okay? There is one at every single restaurant I have ever worked at. Like, I should probably write a show about that. And they're this integral part, really, of any restaurant, but there is something that is always a little off. Either they're crazy, or they're lonely, or both. Or they're really rich, or they have a habit, or both. And I think what happens is servers give better service to people who spend. I don't do it, but it's really common. I guess what I mean is alcoholics make great guests. So my father was a regular here. And a Long Island iced tea, that was my dad's drink, would always magically appear on the table just moments after we got settled. No one had ordered it. And I remembered that. Watching my dad's mouth try to find the straw. It wasn't the drink. It's the thought. Don't judge what makes a person happy. No, don't judge why they are coming out to eat. No, I'll put myself in a position to provide it for them. I'll be the one to bring them the drink. Then I become part of the experience. Yes, of course. It's like a dance. It's like a ballet of plates and glass where every moment is so congruent. If I'm good at it, you almost don't notice it. Because I'm in it and also I'm controlling it. Your water, or your wine glass, or your ego, or your whatever it is will never once be empty at my table. No, you will never find yourself in need. And I am so proud of that. And I'm just so happy that y'all have come in tonight. Because that means that I get to put my hair up. Means I get to get ready. Means I get to put this apron on. And it means I get to try to share with you in 3 courses a little bit about what I know, a little bit about who I've become. You know, waiting tables is now just my way of sharing wisdom. So that with every question I ask, and every single one of my suggestions, is something that you know you can put your trust in. We opened in late November. And I only remember because my birthday is in the first week of December. I am a classic Sagittarius. And this was my first shift after I had turned 30. A waitress at 30. That is not something I thought I'd be. I mean, seriously, I never thought I would be a waitress at 30. I'm going to tell you a quick story. This is true. I'm at Alice's Tea, got my first job, very first one. All the chicks are standing around a circle talking about how old they are and where they're from. First it's like, hi, I'm Betsy, I'm 24, I'm from Texas. And then next I'm Adas, I'm 28, I'm from Tel Aviv. Then next me, hey, I'm Diana, I'm 17. And my friend Lauren's like, hey, I'm Lauren, I'm 27, I'm from Seattle. And then finally it's like, hey, I'm Genevieve, and I'm 30. And I remember, I swear to God, I turned to Lauren, who's still my best friend, and I was like, Lauren, if I am still waiting tables, when I am 30, so I'm 30. And it's winter, and it's about 5:30. And I'm standing in the center of an empty dining room, just waiting for dinner service to begin. And the first snow of the season begins to fall. And you guys, this restaurant that I was working on, this restaurant is a floor-to-ceiling, crystal, see-through to the avenue fish bowl. I mean, I can see the snowflakes from table 8. And I'm standing there next to the owner, and we're just standing there in the center, watching the street and the falling snow. And we just stare. Do you think people will come? She says. No, do you think people will come in? I mean, is it too open? Do you think we should get curtains? And I thought, too open? There's no such thing. But instead, I just said, people will come to see and be seen. And in this moment, you know, I realized that, yeah, a restaurant can be a lot of things, but no, it doesn't breathe. It can't be anything unless customers are there. Unless you come in. Yes, unless the chefs have prepped and cleaned the kitchen, but it doesn't become a living organism unless you get dressed and take the train and choose to wait to sit down in my section. I can't do what I do without you. Hi! You were a waitress last time we were here. Do you remember? Yeah, of course. Did you guys have a good time last time? Yeah? That's fantastic. I never know if remembering me is good or bad. Yes, of course, I do remember. It was me who poured your water. And it was me who took your order. And if I could, wait, did I pour my soul into a small dish and place it like a garnish on the side of your table? I was the one who brought you your salt. I brought you your lemon. I brought extra Parmesan. And you brought a lot of attention. I'm the one who laughed when your husband grazed my ass as he reached for his glass. I'm the one who didn't flinch while you spit on me as you were trying to make a point to your guest. I'm the one who saw it all. I saw you swipe on Tinder, match, and then send the text. And I'm the one who knew it was your birthday and sent you dessert anyway because your friends didn't want to spend happy birthdays with our compliments. And I am the one who gets entirely too invested in these moments and wait to attach to my role in them. But what can I do? I get to do what I love. And that's really where my sense of identity comes from. And it's a cliche, but truly, if you find something you like to do, you really don't have to work for a single day. And it's also my job, you know, and I just take that seriously. But it's a lot. It's a lot being a waitress. At 5 o'clock, I have to be on. But also, like, turn my life off while I'm doing it. But also, like, I want to be present because waiting tables is such a huge part of my life that I don't want to waste it. So then I start to, like, compartmentalize all of it, and that is just, like, a really weird and particular skill set. You know, that being inside of and outside of. Do you know that I can prioritize 150 people's needs in a moment without a notebook? I don't really think that can be taught. You know, I have to command a lot of knowledge with hundreds of people I've never met who have no idea what cacio e pepe is. Okay, so do you know what that means? That means every time I say that phrase tonight, I'm going to have to explain it. It's a classic Roman pasta dish, just pecorino cheese, lots of fresh black pepper in it. And listen, lady, if you would like a glass of Chianti, please, have one. I would love to bring it. I will think you're an idiot, but I'll definitely bring it. I mean, my job is basically personality management. You know, it's amazing. You'd think every night is completely the same. But can I tell you what? Every night is completely different. Because I have no idea who's coming in. I don't know what state these patrons on this rainy Thursday are going to bring in. I mean, they could be out for my blood. Someone could want to make me feel bad tonight just because it's going to make them feel good. I could watch someone fall and bleed from their head as they walk up to the restaurant. I could see someone end a relationship in my section. A marriage, even. Someone could insult me. Another could grab me by my jewelry. That is not okay. Do not ever touch me. I could see my coworker stealing from me, or I could be written off the schedule and be having my last shift already and not even know it. That one is awful. These restaurants are so small that everything feels intentional. Or, just before I'm on my way to table 30 to take an order, my coworker could come up behind me and say she had to have an abortion yesterday and that's why she was late. She's really sorry. These are all things that have happened to me. As waitresses, we experience so much in public that's usually given privacy. Who takes care of you when you get home from work? That is the hardest question that I've ever been asked by a customer. Because if I'm honest, which I'm not, when I get home, I can barely pour myself a glass of water. But on the other hand, I got to be part of Barack Obama and his wife and daughter eating kartoffel, so, you know, it's a trade-off. It was okay. There was a 4.5-hour wait. I was walking the door. It was terrible. We had about an hour notice. You could just see Barack, Michelle, and Malia through a sliver in the hallway. No one knew what to do. The whole restaurant stayed. But then when they left, we all got up, we hugged each other, and we cried. And we all applauded. Can I tell you something? He drinks a dirty martini, up, 3 olives, dry.
Yeah.
Vodka. And, you know, so whenever I find myself getting a little down, I just think of this great Woody Allen line. He's with a prostitute, and he goes, so, how'd you get into this sort of thing? And she goes, sure beats the hell out of waitressing. And I am telling you, I think about that. I have the job that nobody wants to have. And I don't know why, I don't know what it is about me, but something sees that as an advantage. I'm very, very good at making the best of what I'm given. And so then there is this running monologue in my head through every single shift. If I don't write about this, it's not going to be worth it. If I don't write about it, it's not going to be. If I don't write about it, you got to write about it. If you don't write about it, it's not going to be worth it. But I am so tired when I get home, right? Tired from hours of doing this on the dining room floor. Tired from hours of absorbing. That when I get home, I don't want to write about it anymore. You know, I'm on the subway platform actively decompressing, but I'm still staying behind when I'm going down the subway stairs. It is so annoying. I'm literally gesturing through subway car doors like it's a restaurant line and I'm at work. No, I'm not. I'm at West Fork. But I'm a waitress, and I worked a double all day, you know. What, am I supposed to come home and try to write and face a blank page? No fucking way. I don't always have that much I did. You know, it's a real challenge for me to find the balance. You'd think that after all these years of doing this, I'd have sort of gotten the hang of it. You know? Figured out how to wait tables, exercise, eat right, be a good person, and maybe have a romantic relationship. No. No, that hasn't happened yet. I haven't mastered it. And I try to pay attention, with intention, you know, when I'm waiting tables. Try to enjoy it. But I have to say, if I'm honest, I don't think my joy comes from the act of doing it. I think that my joy comes from getting up here and telling you all about it. I'd like to speak to a manager. Oh, God. I know this type. So, there are only two types of people in the world. Those who would like to talk to a manager, and those who don't. Sir, which kind are you? Have you ever asked to talk to a manager before?
People have asked me to talk to them.
That's not the question. Have you ever asked to speak to a manager before?
No.
Have you?
No.
Has anyone in here ever asked to speak to a manager before?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, I'll go get her. And inevitably, they're always like, oh, and what's your name? And I'm always like, oh, I'm Jennifer. I mean, I can't say Diana. You guys give yourselves away. You obviously have a problem with me. And can I tell you something? One time, I swear to God, it was so funny. My boss actually said to me, and she was like, do we have anyone named Jennifer? And she must have been getting so many complaints about me. So eventually I had to tell her. And she was like, you don't have to give your real name to anyone. That's fine. I don't blame you. And I don't. Because it's a lot for me to give away my name. Do you know that almost every single table asks me for it? I do not think that that is okay. Because my name is the only thing not already on display. And it's a lot for me to give that away to what? Some 50-year-old woman is going to come in, sit at the bar by herself, who might be having a bad day. Maybe something about her drink, maybe something about me, or this experience rubs her the wrong way. And she could make one complaint with my name in it. And that is all it would take for me to lose my job. We don't have any job security in my industry, okay? We don't. Even if you think you did, I did. We're wrong. We don't. Every single minute that I am working, I am also aware that anything could happen. Absolutely anyone could walk in. And when something happens, when it actually does, when something makes it to the higher-ups, do you know that it's never anything that matter? But it still directly affects my future. Tell me, does that happen in other careers? Where your life trajectory is affected by a hungry stranger? Does that happen if you're a lawyer? Or a designer? Or an engineer? Or a mother? Or a painter? Where suddenly there you are looking for a new job knowing that it is not about how good you are. It's about a lot of things. But it is never about how good you are. And you know, lately, I have been thinking a lot about this idea of validation. Do I need it? Like at 31, do I really need someone to say to me, good job? Do I need that? Is that all it is? Do I need someone to say, oh my God, Diana, thank you so much for coming in. You do such a good job. You're appreciated. Or do I just want someone to go through it with? I think that's what it is. You know, I like a little bit of company when I am in the trenches. The camaraderie of this work. The camaraderie is what does it for me. It's enough for me. The people I work with have become the stuff of me. Claire, Phoebe, Lauren, Michael, Paul, Jody. And so with all this running through my head, I also have to stand into a place where I can get to a lot of confidence and say to someone, you know what, it's going to be about a 2-hour wait. Is that going to be okay? What I want to say is, listen, take a minute, look inside yourself. Do you have that kind of patience? Because this is a realistic estimate. And I can't have you having a grony and then in half an hour treating me like shit. No, I know I'm just the help. I know that. That's what makes me great at this. I don't care about that. I'm your waitress. I'm put in charge of curating this experience, so when you walk in the door of a restaurant, that is the deal, and you're gonna have to deal with it. You don't know how rare that is. Do you know that I am given access to absolutely anything I need to get you to leave happy? Short of touching you, there's nothing I can't do. I can split a cocktail for you. I can split a soup. I can pour you half a glass. I can bring you out a taste of absolutely anything that I want. I can void that, I can comp it, I can bring out another, or I can take it completely off. I can do whatever I want. As long as it's in the diner's best interest. You see, I'm giving of myself in order to give someone else an experience. And you don't know how rare that is. Do you know the last place I worked didn't have enough forks? Yeah, let that sink in. And top that with, this restaurant had a New York Times review 3 stars. The entrees there cost $32. The owner refused to buy more forks. Okay? So that means that the servers were hand washing them in between the courses. That is not okay. If I gotta buy a Metro card, you gotta buy the forks. So listen, buddy, I got forks, I got plates, everything is gonna be great. But only if you let me. You know, everything is only if you let me. Good evening. Do y'all care for flat or sparkling? Oh my God, are you the 3rd girl from Broad City? No. But right, I totally should be. I think fucky. I've said 3 words to them, flat or sparkling, and they see it. It's like when I'm working. I'm kind of immediate. I've been interrupted so much and I get asked, so what do you guys have? Wait, oh my God, are you an actress? How am I supposed to answer that? Most of the time I just want to be like, not right now. So, what can I get for you? Wait, hold on, where are you from? Wait, let me guess. The Midwest? Yes, they always guess that. And I have no idea why. But when they do, I just take it as a compliment that the table that night thinks I'm super nice. So, what are you guys gonna have? I don't have time to talk tonight. There's a 2-hour wait. What should we get? I hate answering that. What should we get? Instead, I always just say, oh, I don't know. Eating's so personal. We've only just met. Do I get a laugh? Not usually. Are they pissed? Sometimes. But do they get that in order to answer what to order, I have to get to know you a little bit? Right? Like, are you having wine or a cocktail?
Cocktail.
And are you an adventurous eater? Do you like your meat rare? Or should I steer you towards a pasta that's more popular?
Pasta.
That's what I thought. Do you even know anything about wine, or are you just here to order the most expensive thing and impress him? Listen, I really don't care. I just need a minute to see it. You know, I always say know thyself, right? So like, I hate olives, right? So never order a dish with tapenade in it. I'm gonna want to. I'm gonna think about it. That dish on the menu is gonna have everything in it I want except for the olives. Don't get it. I'm not gonna like it, and I'm gonna blame my server for it. I always say, listen, start with what you like. You mentioned earlier that you love risotto. Try it. The Ireland is the one on special tonight. You know, make some decisions by yourself. Then I'll come in. I'll help round it out. I promise I'll help. But always remember, you're the one having dinner. Not me. And listen, this is a real question. Is it my obligation to give recommendations?
No.
No? Good. I hate to do it. Sometimes I get in like a standoff with tables because of it, because I'm like, no, I don't have any, I'm really sorry. And people these days don't even read the menu. I mean, people come in and they're just like, hey, do you guys have a green salad? I've heard so much about it. And I'm always like, yeah, do you see in the center of the menu there where it says green salad? Yeah. And another thing, give me back the menu when we're done ordering. This is a new trend I'm seeing. People will finish and they just like won't give the menu back. It's like they turn into like Gollum from Lord of the Rings or something. They're precious. I want another cocktail. I could just bring the menu back. And one more thing, please wait to sit down until you ask anyone for anything. I have people with their coats and their jackets on, like, staying next to the table still being like, can we have some water? I'm going to tell you what I say to those people. If you sit down, everything will reveal itself. I have no idea how I get away with saying that, but I swear to God I do. I think it's true, because then she sits down and what happens? The menus come, the water's begun. Of course it does, but first, you gotta sit down. Chinese food is still my favorite food. Cashew chicken. #6 combination. I remember because I was alone a lot after school, so I could get it delivered. And I knew what it would taste like every time. I knew I would love it. I knew I could rely on it. But because I was growing up and changing so much, each time I would eat it, it would just taste a little bit different. And I like to think that that's what good service is, right? I can rely on good food, good company maybe that I choose, a good environment, but I'm never sure how it's all going to manifest exactly. But if you trust your waitress, you can leave a little bit more satisfied. You can leave a little bit more full. You can maybe even leave a little bit more free. Now, it's not free. You're gonna have to pay for it. But this is the difference. This is the fundamental difference. When you experience great service, you're happy to pay for it. Do you guys know that my entire life has been saved by the tip? True story. Every single penny that I have ever made in my life has been made from a restaurant. That is 16 years in New York. I lived by myself. The tips funded that. And it is literally never lost on me. I swear to God, just last night I was looking at these checks and I was like, oh my God, I can't even believe they're paying me for this. And it's your choice how much you give. I mean, it is like being a prostitute. 10s, 20s, 50s in my hands nightly for my services. Do you know that one time I got a $100 bill handed to me in New Orleans on Christmas Eve? This is for you, dear. Don't share it. And I didn't. Because it was for me. And there is something to that. There is something to someone compensating me in a moment for all of my hard work and their direct enjoyment of it. Call it whatever you want. Walking home with cash in my back pocket. I swear to God, a part of me still cannot even believe it. I grew up always wanting a seat at the table. I did. I grew up in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills actually, with all these rich kids, and they all lived in mansions, and they were spawn of celebrity. And I shared an apartment with my mom, and her and I shared a bedroom. And after school, my friends would all go to California Pizza Kitchen. CPK. We were fucking 10. And, you know, I wanted to have Caesar salad. It's the cheapest thing on a menu after soup. So $6.95 with just water, tax, tip. I knew $10 would do it. And $10 was my weekly allowance. So my whole allowance for one Caesar salad. And that's when I learned I was gonna have to have money if I wanted to have friends. No. That's where I learned value. That's where I learned that I have more than money to offer them. Yes, I can add to the experience. That is my strength. And I think, of course, that's why now I'm so good at coursing. Oh, I love it. Give me your budget. I understand wanting that, want to go out to dinner, and not having a lot to spend. I get that. Hey, you guys are only going to need one of those Christies. It's cut into 3 pieces, so y'all can totally just share it. Thanks for that. Yeah. You know, I have what I like to call a poor kid's palate. This just basically means, like, I grew up in a house with no salt in it. I don't know about al dente or seasoning. And I still, like, firmly believe that if you can get a non-alcoholic beverage like a lemonade or an iced tea, that it is a complete sign of utter luxury. But now, somehow, I have access to this beautiful truffle salt and 125-year-old aged balsamic. These things are now in my arsenal, and suddenly, at the table, I'm an equal. And I'm not so mad anymore about growing up so out of place, because I've grown up, and I have excellent taste. I really let a lot of my past go, because I touch every table now. I run the show. Little did I know, of all the things in my life that was going to serve me best, was learning knife on the right, fork on the left. And if this was like a Sondheim musical, I kind of feel like this is the moment where I would belt out and sing. It's only food and drink. Right. It's only food and drink. The stakes are not as high as I think. Forks and knives, knives and forks. This isn't my life, it's just my work. It's only food and drink, sir. Send it back, have another. I'm running around like a surgeon does at a hospital, but I am not saving lives at all. It's only food and drink. And to top it off, Jake Gyllenhaal isn't paying as much attention to me as I think. I serve him ensalada verde twice a week. So while he's finishing the hat, I might just be polishing a glass. But somehow all of that's okay with me. Because I can't really sing. But Jake Gyllenhaal came after I saw him in Sunday in the Park with George, and I don't know, he really inspired me. So I don't actually need to sit down and be at the table now, you know? I'd rather just stand there, give what I can to it, and let the rest of me that doesn't work be ignored. Because that's the gift. The gift is that I'm actually powerless as a waitress. Right? Dude, I don't make the food. I don't know this place. No, this isn't mine. You don't even know my name. You think I'm Jennifer. But to me, that is the best place to start. We get to have dinner together. And that's what I'm looking for. Situations where I can present myself enough and then wait for those who decide that they want more. And listen, I'll never hold it against you if you don't like me. I'm not always in the mood for me either. And when I go out, I'm the queen of wanting to be left alone. I never really talk to my servers. But if you have someone who's waiting on you, who understands that, and can grant it, it kind of helps you let it go, and then maybe you move beyond it. And then after a while, you're a solo diner at the bar, and you'll ask to hear about the specials, because everyone else around you has. You've been left alone enough to let yourself get interested again. And so I'll say to you, do you guys want to try the spicy anchovy dish? Yes? Good. You should. With that Prosecco, delicious. And it is. And you will let it make your day. And you will find yourself in such a different place than you did when you walked in. That has happened with people in this audience. I have brought you something and it has lifted your spirits. That is how we become interdependent. And you might want to catch me and like mention it, but I'm terrible at receiving that kind of stuff, so I'll just like pretend I'm really busy and like leave it in your tip. And then a doubt will come in that maybe this moment wasn't as big as you wanted to think it was, you know. She's just a waitress, she does work on tips, she's just doing her job. But then I'll appear at the door just as you're walking out, and I'll say, hey, thank you so much for coming in. And you'll feel like it was real again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, I will. Hey, what's your name? But that's the moment of change. What's your name? What is it you are called when you are called upon? What nomenclature makes your nature unique? Me? I'm Dee. Being in service has never been so easy. And I tell you what, it's serving me. But it doesn't always go like this. I don't know if y'all have noticed, I'm a little bit of a sensitive waitress, and it can get borderline inappropriate, like how seriously I can take some of this shit. If I, for example, taste you on a few wines, not because I offered because I had some extra time, but because you asked me to one after one, after one, and you don't like any of them? Any of them? A slow, fiery rage grows inside of me, and like my face will start to fucking contort, and like I suddenly make it clear that I can't figure anything in life out. Nothing makes sense because I put my life into this very small, very meaningless moment. Sir, if you want something light and dry, please order this. And then he does it, and I just get completely gutted. Because nobody knows what they want. God. And I'm just so surprised by that because I really do. And at the end of the day, I get my customers whatever they want because that's actually my job. But I just make it really clear that I lost all faith in humanity because of it. And I would say that that is probably my biggest weakness. I'm sensitive. And I'm not perfect. I can be a bitch. Sometimes I wear my emotions on my face, or maybe with what I say. Can you clear table 3, please? And I think if someone agrees me, sometimes I can seem a little bit difficult to work with. But is it me? But that's just because I expect the best, you know, from myself, from my coworkers, and from my guests. And so when I don't get it, I get really gutted. But that's just because I have so much experience having done this. You know, I do know what it's like when it works, and when it's great, and when you love the people that you work with, and I know how much more money we can make! So I guess what I'm learning is that all of my experience actually makes it really hard. Because I know what it's like when it's bad. And I know when I have it good. And then, sometimes you just have a bad shift, right? There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just a confluence of events. Hopefully it doesn't happen often, but I'm gonna tell you what, shit happens. Where suddenly, you're working, and then someone will just call you over and humiliate you in public, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. You just have to take it. swear to God, it never fails. I will get a compliment from one table. Wow, you are like the best waitress we've like ever seen. And I swear to God, in the next minute, a table will call me over and be like, you are the worst waitress we have ever had. And this happened to me like last week. You guys, I have been doing this forever. I had to step off the floor and cry. Why? I'm just thinking, why do I have to take this? Why am I putting myself through this? Why? People can be so cruel. And it is so hard when you're working to not let that break you. And I do my best. I think I do a pretty good job of it. But sometimes I do. After a shift, no matter how much I might love doing it, I'm a little bit broken after it. So I guess the only advice that I really have to give is that the shift will end. The night will be over. Dessert will be ordered. Espresso will be drunk. Checks will be dropped. Kitchen will close. And the lights will come up. And you will start to count your money. And there will be napkins to fold. There will always still be napkins to fold. Tips to be distributed. Glasses still to be polished. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll have the thought that your job is only really as good as the people that you work with. And somewhere in this side work, you will acknowledge your own work. And I can only say that because this is my life's work. Yeah? Sure. Right now? Okay, I'll be right there. Good. That was easy. Uh-huh. Huh. Really? Okay. And tomorrow night, do you think you'll need me? No. That's how it happens. For the first time, I didn't even ask why. It was such an awkward moment. It was the end of something without any acknowledgement of it. Thank you so much for everything. Firing is a quiet, sticky thing. You work so hard for someone, and then in the next moment you don't work at all for them anymore. I was shocked. But then I thought, what if the story was that I got fired and then I took off? Because my value as a waitress, my value as a person, is not directly connected to where I work or who I work for. No, I have transcended it. I am more than just a waitress. How many of you are here tonight because I have served or worked with you before? Make some noise. I create relationships. No one told me to, but that feeling of connectedness, it's something I take serious. And the funniest thing about life is that we never let the right ones in, right? Like, I don't. The best moments of my life or of a shift at night are never the ones I remember. It's always the horrors. I swear, I always just choose to focus on the horrors. My dad died when I was 15. And it is a shame that it took me until now to realize that I have always been in service. That I am my father's daughter. And that is what I am when I come to your table. And so I will love you in a way that is unconditional, because I know how hard that can be to find for some people. I do at my tables what I wasn't able to do as a little girl. And I see that now. And I see why. Do you know that my customers are the best part of my life? I get to talk to people that I could have gone my whole life without ever meeting. I get to see their faces while they wait. I get to meet their families. I get to see what they're like when they're hungry. That is some intimate shit. I get to stare from across a room if I want. I get to look directly at someone I almost never met. And I always just end up asking if they care for something to drink. But for a split second, I know that I could ask them anything.